Hello everyone, I'm Tane from Junior Programmer. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'll bring you how to create a HTML form using CSS and JavaScript with all the cool animations that you'll see. So let's get going. So as you can see there's sign-in form and login details, and this is the form that we'll create, and you will see at the end of how it works properly. All the code will be there. Just a little bit of demo for now. So let's move on to the code. So first of all we'll need a JavaScript file, just simple 3-4 lines of JavaScript. So first of all I'll create some variables that will be used to access the buttons so that we could move them or hide them. So we're simply accessing the buttons using the classes of the button that we'll define afterwards. So we're simply creating these 3 things, and then we are also adding event listener. For example, if someone clicks onto the one button, it should move. So once clicks on the sign up mode button, it should show it on the screen, and if someone clicks onto the other button, it should remove that from the screen. Now let's move to the CSS file. CSS is one of the most important things for this project, because this project requires a lot of animation and a lot of styling. So CSS is the one that has to be well defined, and this is where we define all the styling. So first of all let's import the library. So it is just like importing some functions from somewhere else. So this is just a simple line that you could use, and after that we'll move on to the styling. So first of all we'll start with the background or the whole of the document, then move on to the body and then to the input. So here as you can see we're just defining the margin, padding, sizing, font family, position, width, background color, minimum height, overflow, and all these kind of attributes. So these are like the different classes. Different tags will have different classes and IDs, and that will be used in the style sheet to give them styling. So what we do here is that we define the styles. For example, if it has to be in the middle, if it has to be at the top, the transform, the left, the width. So we're giving the things in the percentage for now. We'll also look into the units afterwards. So we're just defining that where exactly do these things have to be placed, how they have to be placed, what is their color, and all these kind of styling things. So as you can see in the form we have written display, align items, and justify. So it is just like moving it to the middle of the page or the middle of the div. So you will all be familiar with the div and all this kind of stuff, so you can follow my video easily. Now moving on to the form. So for the form we are using the sign up form, sign in form, the title, the input field. Again we are using the different font size, color, margins, max width, background color, border, and all these kind of things. There's also another thing that we've used is the z-index. Z-index is like you can say the layers. For example, you can say that it is arranged in layers. So we're defining which layer is on top of which one, because the one that is on top will be displayed then the one which is under that one. So this is why we're using the z-index. So now again moving on to the input field I, then input field input. So it is of the type input field, and then it is the input. We are defining it. Now the placeholder is a text that will appear when nothing is written into that input field. So we are giving it a slightly different color and a different font, just to make it more beautiful and differentiated from the text that we will write. Now we will also define some for the social text, social media, and the icons that we'll be using into a code. For example, we want to allow the user to sign in from another social platform, so we'll give some like icons at the bottom and all these things to make it more attractive. And this is why we are defining much more attributes. For example, the font size, border radius of all these icons. As you can see, I've also given a color for hover. So hover is when you just hover the mouse over something, and then we have changed the color to like the purple color. So this is why we use the hover, and this is the syntax, the colon and the hover. So it is like the class name, then colon, and then the hover. Again for the button hover, so we're also giving it a little bit of different background color for the hover when the mouse is hovered over it. Then we have the panels container, again giving it the position, height, width, top, left. So as you can see, sometimes I have given these attributes in percentages, sometimes as simple numbers, and sometimes as pixels, px. And after that you'll also see another thing, that is rem. So these are like the units in which we could define these things. We could always use anyone's. I'm using percentages sometime because, for example, if I use pixels, let's say 20 pixels, it will always be 20 pixels, be it the smaller screen, the larger screen, and it might cause some issues. So for the percentages, it helps to overcome that issue. But again, it doesn't have to be like percentages every time or pixels every time. It can be defined according to the needs. So now moving on, we have the image, the panel, the left panel, and again we have defined the attributes, for example the width, transition delay, the display, the flex direction, justifying it in the middle, and then the padding. So as I've told you, the padding, it is in rem, so it is in both. So 3 rem, 12%, 2 rem, 17%, it is from the all four sides from the screen. So now the panel and the content, and within the panel we have h3 tag, and then within the panel if we have a paragraph tag, p tag, and then button which is transparent. So for all those we are just defining the styles, that is just like the font, height, width, as I've told you before. This is very important because the CSS style sheet is the one that will have to define all the styling onto the page for us for this project. Now the animation, let's move to the animation. So for the animation, as you could see in the start, when clicking on the button it would animate and then go on to the next screen. So for that we have to define some additional styling. So this is why the style sheet document is so important for this, and it is so large. So let's start. So first of all, container sign up before clicking, and we've given it a position. Similarly we have done for all the other divs, for which we will give IDs and classes, and then we'll use them in the HTML document that we'll create afterwards. Similarly, we have done all this for the container and different sign up mode, right panel, image, content. So this is like all the things that are present over there into the screen. Now for the media, we've given it a max width, the container, the sign in. So media is like all the media content that could be on the page within a certain div. Let's say be it images or videos or all this kind of stuff, but for this one we will be mainly using the images. So as you can see, again I am defining some styling, different styling according to the different needs, flex direction, justify, align items. So flex is like the overflow. For example, if you make the window smaller, where is the overflow text is going to go? So it is like it is going to go in the next row. And then the justify content is like where to place the content. So the space around means like the content has to be placed in such a way that there is always some space around it at all times. And then align it to the center, and then again grid row. It is like grid row means that it is arranged in kind of a grid, and we have given it position of the grid, that at which cell we could say it has to be placed. So this is how we are defining it. Now the panel, again the panel h3, the panel p, the button transport, and container. So container before and container after, that will be used later. So these are just used to define the styling, the before and after styling, just to get the animation effect once we click on the buttons, and we could deploy it on the website, on our website. So as you can see, the container sign up mode before clicking it is on a different transform, is on a different position from bottom, different from right, and so on. After that, the sign up mode, left panel, content, image. So they also translate Y. So this means that they move in the Y axis, in the Y direction, by the number of pixels that we have given, that is negative 300 pixels, so it will move it in the negative direction, 300 pixels in the negative direction. So this is pixels are just like the, we could say the units. For example, we could say it could move 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters. So the pixels is like the units in which computer can count of how much to move an object on the screen. So moving on, again we have defined another media, and within that we have form, image, panel, and content, container before, and then container sign up mode before. So again I'm telling you that this is all the styling that we have defined, and this is the important part in our project. Now let's move on to the HTML file, where we will design the web page, where we will write the tags, and then we'll access the style sheet. We'll use the styling that we have declared here, and then we'll use it in the HTML content to display it onto our web page. So first of all, what we'll need to do is start writing HTML and write all the basic tags. For example, the HTML tag, the body tag, the head tag, and some other tags. For example, meta tag, in which we define some attributes, for example the char set, name, and all this kind of stuffs. So these are just there beforehand. Then we'll link the style sheets and the icons that we'll be using. As you can see, I have linked the style sheet, and now I'm also linking the, and now I've linked the style sheet, and it is in the same directory, and given the title, and now the head tag is complete. Now the main content of the page will come into the body tag. So let's start from the right side of the page, of the sign in page. So first of all, I'm simply containing the div and giving them different classes. Classes are the same that we have defined in the style sheet, the style.css, and the styling will be taken from there to these classes and will be applied on the HTML page. So we'll also need a form to get the inputs, the username and the password. So we're defining the form. The action is for now given as hash. So here it usually comes the PHP script, and this is in this will be another video for this probably. So now defining the inputs, input field as username, then the password. I've also given the type password for password because it can convert the password into like stars and not show the actual text, just to make it more private and more secure when you're writing it in the screen in front of everyone else. So now let's add the social icons for the sign in page. So this icons, for the icons we'll simply add the images and use them as a href or links. For example, when you click on an image, it would act like an link and would open another page or any other thing. In this case, sign in portals for those particular websites, and then the user could sign in, and the value could be taken from those forms and be added to the database for the users who want to sign in on your web page. Now let's move to the left side of the sign up page. So this is different. This is not the sign in page, rather this is the sign up page. So onto the sign up page, the form is on the left side, while on the sign in page, form is on the right side. So as we're on the left side, let's first define the form. Action, as I've told you, there is no action. So just to give no action, we are giving this hash hashtag over there, but in development you would write a script, PHP script or something like that. So again, we're just taking in the username, the email, and then the password. So the placeholders are also according to them, so that too we can avoid any errors and make it like more attractive for the user to use. Now let's move on for the social media icons for the form. So first of all, we'll simply define the same social media icons, the four ones, which are the Facebook, the Twitter, the GitHub, the Facebook, the Twitter, the GitHub, and the Google. So these are like the social platforms that we could allow the user to sign in from and could sign up using those on a website. So just simply adding them, just like href as I have told you before, just doing the same exact thing. Now after that, we'll also move to the left side of the sign in page. This is where there is the panel and most of the animation works. So this is where we'll add the images and all this kind of stuff, the text and the sign up button that would animate the page to go towards the right. So simply we're writing some text using different tags, the h3 tag and the p tag. So h3 and p are different for different sizes of the tag. h3 is the header tag, p is the paragraph tag, there are h1 to h6 tags. We're using the h3 for now. Then comes the images that we are placing. We're using that img, the image tag, or called the img tag in the HTML. So this is what we're using. Then we also have some text to write, and then we are also giving it a sign in button. So what the button would do is that when we could click sign in, it would move to the sign in part. So just like that. So this is how we created the page. So let's move on to the results. So as you can see the results, how beautiful the page looks, because it's bluish in color, a lot of styling, the images, the panel, the sign in and the password. So let's say you could write your name or the username and then the password, and you could then log in. Now this won't work this time because I haven't connected it to any script on the backend, but you could use it with your websites anytime around. And look how beautiful the animation is. Just simply click on the button and it would animate the whole page, making it so attractive for the user. So let's do the sign up. So let's say I'll have a username. You could also now add checks into the username. For example, with the database, if you connect it to the database, you could see if a particular username exists and then not allow that username for a new user, and so on. Now the email and then the password. So these are just the basic forms with a good user interface. Now the other thing is that you could add some other checks. Now there's also another thing that it would not allow an invalid email, because it validates the email if it has an @ of sign in it, because every proper email will have this sign @. So there is also this functionality that it will check itself if there is a sign and if that is a valid email or not. So this is how you could create a form, a very beautiful attractive form in HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I hope that you liked this video, and also so I hope it was a good video for you and you enjoyed it. See you in the next video with another exciting tutorial. Good luck, take care, goodbye.